sticks out, but I truly believe, to me, not that I've seen all of your work, but quite a few of your movies, I think embodying Charles Cullen in The Good Nurse will be one of those best of roles, at least to me, for now. Who knows what's going to come next? We'll get to that in a second. Tobias, let's start with you. What intrigued you in telling this story? Quite an insane, shocking, true story. And what was important to you in doing so?
It is always weird to talk about the story just as you're about to see it, but let's see if we can do it without revealing too much. The intriguing part was, as we all know, on the surface this is a serial killer story. It's about Charles Cullen, who killed a lot of people in the American healthcare system. Underneath that was the value to me, a story about courage and a story about how kindness stopped violence. In a time where we seem to be led by the misunderstanding that violence stops violence, that hate stops hate, there was a woman here that stood up in a system, against the system, and made kindness and charity and love and friendship stop violence. And that was the reason to make this story.
Eddie, you were just mentioning all the wonderful actresses and also actors that you got to work with, and again, Jessica will just add to this lovely list. You knew each other beforehand, and I heard you say one time that you have a bit of respect sometimes when you know someone, or you maybe even friends with someone, and then you got to work with them and create a working relationship. Tell us how that relationship was on set.
It was amazing. It was wonderful. The way in which Jessica and I basically met was on the James Corden show, a late night show. This is the weird thing that happens in Hollywood, is you kind of bump into people at these insane events when you're dressed in kind of suits and gowns, and we got on incredibly well. And I'd always massively admired her work. I think Zero Dark 30 is one of the great performances. And we dreamt of working together. And when this film came up, it was interesting because it's also people that you love and adore. You hope that your processes mesh. And one of the real joys of this film was that Tobias as a director and Jessica and I all found sort of simpatico, I suppose, in the way that we work together. And it meant that, particularly for me, after having done films on a sort of massive scale of the Fantastic Beasts movies, it was wonderful to get back to the intimacy and the jazz-like quality of working tight-knit with people.
Again, we don't want to give away too much, and you're about to see a really thrilling film, but a little bit about the preparation. I know that Jessica got to work with real-life Amy, whom her character, her role is based on. Charles what's his name? Gerber, who wrote the book, right? He got to meet with Charles Cullen several times. Did you ever have the chance to talk to him? And if not, were you talking to Charles Gerber a lot about who Charles Cullen is?
I never met Charles Cullen. I'd seen, there was a 60 Minutes piece, which you can see on YouTube, of him being interviewed, and it's, you know, this happened throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, so he's much older now, and looking back on it is a different process. The key to me into this was the real Amy, who talks, this person was her close friend, and she talks very passionately about him and how she only saw the other side of him 2 times, and it was a different human being. So really she was my route in, but Netflix, who made the film, were generous enough to give Tobias and Jessica and I enough time to prepare. So we had a month of prepping, and we were sent to nurse school. I'm a useless if you're sick, get Jessica Chastain to come and sort you out. Stay well away from me. Tobias would come and find me on set like before everyone else, like with these dummies trying desperately to feed like sort of things into. And he was like, no, mate, no, you're going to kill them. But we had all that prep and training, which was so important. I hope when you see the film that there's a truth to it.
Another testament why you're such a good actor then, huh? If you're not that great of a nurse. Good editor who's in the house as well, and producer. Well, I know that you're dying to watch this film, so are all we, and thank you so much for taking the time gracing the 18th Zurich Film Festival. Good luck with this film and all your future films, and all the best. Congratulations for the Golden Eye Award. Tobias Lindholm.